RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. BlenderHD, you're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Friday, January 24th. We'll be taking a look at some GPP strategy, ranking those stacks for the conference championship round of the NFL playoffs on DraftKings. So hit the thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. Join with me for the last Friday of maybe in 2 weeks, maybe for the Super Bowl. Maybe I don't think we're gonna do a tier thing for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right? It'd be pretty difficult. It's difficult in this slate, 4 teams.
Right. And it's difficult enough as it is with 4 teams to do a tier. I don't think we're gonna do a 2-team for a showdown slate for Super Bowl. So maybe we'll still do that. But close to the last time, it's Bobby Gomes. 4 teams. No one with like a horrible total, and I doubt there's going to be an F tier team. There's only 4 teams. There's no like, well, you got to cross out this team and you're done. I mean, truthfully, I think we talked last week about lineup construction, because I think the smaller the slates are, the more that the field is not efficient when it comes to lineup construction, not necessarily like ownership of single players. But last week it almost worked out pretty well for you, right?
Yeah, it almost worked out pretty well. I actually had the winning 555 milli team prior to the Detroit Washington lock. It was in my phone. I had to drop down I had a Kelsey team. I didn't have Chiefs D. It's like, how can I make this team with a Daniel Stack and a couple of Detroit Lions run backs? And I had I went down to Commanders D. I had Likely in my flex, and I went up to Barkley, and that was the nuts. That was the team that won it. But I went with a different team with the Lions D, and forget who else was in my flex. It was like a 2v2 off the team. So, but I had it. The kid who prior to the kid who I thought I had like pretty much swapped with, he ended up winning it. So yeah, we were like neck and neck, and then he pulled ahead. Obviously, good for him though. Big hit, and he didn't have to split with me. So,
well, for this slate, we only have 2 games. So people sometimes naturally, like on 4-game slates, people don't overstack enough. On these 2-game slates, sometimes people overstack too much. Okay. The key to this slate, I think, I mean, I'm not going to speak anything that's like revelationary, whatever. You get all the touchdowns. Like you win. Like these are the types of slates where raw points matter than anything else. So like, for instance, like we'll be talking about Saquon Barkley. Like he's probably going to be like 90% owned. Like as a contrarian player, you'd think, well, we'll just build a lineup without Saquon Barkley and fade the 90% owned guy. Well, if you do that, you're also fading the guy that like the Saquon Barkley could put up 11 fantasy points and still be in the winning lineup, right? He could put up 18 fantasy points and still be in the winning lineup. Just the running back position has so few raw points in it that raw points is going to matter. The key thing here is taking shot to me at least, is taking shots on guys that are going to be single digit owned that score a touchdown. Very so much like the showdown slate of taking a shot on those $800, $1,200 guys that all they have to do is post 8 points and basically you win the slate, because the only way you can make certain lineup constructions is by using a guy that cheap. So the pricing on the slate and the amount of options that we have, especially on teams like Buffalo, where you got guys that may only catch 1 ball that score a touchdown in their lineup. And you also have like third running backs from like the Bills or the Chiefs running backs, like guys that are not you look at their price and go, well, no, their mean outcome, like they're over, like I don't want to, the guy may only get 8 touches. Yeah, but if he scores a touchdown, like everyone that scores a touchdown in these 2 games matters. So finding those players. So it's quite possible to build lineups that seemingly make no sense from a correlation standpoint, but well, they happen at they have the Curtis Samuel touchdown as well as Barkley and AJ Brown for the Eagles for raw points. And then they also have the defense. They also have the Commanders' defense, even though the Eagles put up 34 points. Like, you would look at it and go, well, someone's stupid. It's like, well, the only way to fit in all the touchdowns is by doing it that way. Now, obviously, you could overstack. You could do, play everything from one game and everything. You could do that, but it's a little bit more fit. I found in looking at the CSVs for these types of slates that people should do that a little bit more when there's not many options. Like 4 games, people think they have more options. 2 games, they tend to kind of like Thanksgiving. See, the thing about Thanksgiving slates is that there are 3 games and people still think they have a lot more options. But 2 games, I think they're a little bit more cognizant. So I don't know about you, Bobby, what your approach was going to be on the slate. But we're going to rank the stacks, but I'm more inclined to think about like what weird guys are going to score touchdowns rather than what teams I'm going to stack. And is there a world where you have a lineup that fades Saquon Barkley in it?
Not with 135 rushing prop, I can tell you that much. 130 and a half rushing prop juice on there's no way I'm fading Saquon. It's more taking like the approach that you're basically talking about, trying to find lone guys within my stacks. And the Bills are.
Let me add Bobby before I know I've talked a bunch. Let me just add before we move on with the Barkley stuff.
You can talk as much as you want, Blender. I'm just here to listen.
If you do fade Barkley in a lineup, especially, if you're playing 150,
you're a crazy person. But we know you're a crazy person. So
yes, but if you do fade Barkley, the thing is about fading Barkley is that you probably also have to leave money on the table. If you understand what I'm saying, is that if you fade Barkley and use all your salary, there are only so many lineup constructions because the pricing on this slate is loose. Salary is almost not an option on the slate. It is if you're playing Barkley, but if you're not playing Barkley, so like if I X out Barkley from my lineup and I just go and look, I'm just looking at like what the optimal whatever projected lineup is. It's like you could play James Cook, AJ Brown, Travis Kelce. You could play the Eagles defense. You could play. You're spending 49.8 on these guys. Like you could play a McLaurin instead of AJ Brown. There's only so many ways to not play Barkley and spend all of your salary that the people, even if 10% of the field fade Barkley, those 10% of lineups will all look fairly similar 2v2s to each other if you're spending, 49.7, 49.8, 49.9, 50K. That now, in addition to fading the raw points of Barkley, you also have to now get even lower projection because you have to leave 1,000 on the table just to be different and not split first, 14 ways with a team on a 2-game slate. So, like, in addition to the non-Barkley lineup has in our projections is 121.54, and if with Barkley, it's 130.06. So the best lineup without Barkley is 9 points lower projected mean. That's the best. That's the lineup that maybe duped 14 times. So now you have to get even lower projection, leaving money on the table. So now next thing you know, it's like you're playing with one less roster spot. So in these scenarios, you said it, Bobby, 130 and a half rushing prop. If he has a bad game and he only has 95 yards rushing and nothing else, the running back position is so weak on this slate that 9.5 points for Barkley, he may end up being one of the top 2 raw point running back. Literally a 9.5 point running back. You have to play 2 of them because you have 2 running back slots. Just getting 9.5 points may be good enough at running back.
Yeah, I would view Barkley like we kind of viewed the Lions last week with Gibbs and Amon-Ra, just with their team total being so high relative to the rest of the slate. Barkley's rushing prop so high relative to the rest of the position on this slate. You're just jamming Barkley, in my opinion.
I wouldn't be opposed, since we have to rank some stacks. The chalk, now, if there's going to be chalk, I think people are going to stack Kansas City more than any of the team.
I think they may get squeezed a little bit, but I do think they'll be the second highest owned. Or I think they'll be the highest owned, but I think they get squeezed a little bit.
Who are they going to get squeezed by?
Just the narrative that Mahomes hasn't had a ceiling.
But then who else do you stack? The problem about some of these teams is that, like, Buffalo, Josh Allen is tough to stack because he steals all the points.
But you said we don't need it. You said it yourself. We don't need to overstack on this 2-gamer.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm just going through the stacks of what people are going to do. I think people are going to stack Mahomes. I think people are going to stack Daniels. I don't think as many people are going to stack Allen, although it's as affordable as the Chiefs, but probably, more spread out. The team that I don't think people are going to stack is the team that people don't want to stack is the Eagles. And I think on a slate, hear me out here, Bobby. We mentioned before, we're not going to fade Barkley for raw points. Well, if it's a raw point slate and salary really doesn't matter, and we're also looking to find a cheap guy that scores a touchdown, why can't we just stack the Eagles? Because the Eagles' offense is actually the most condensed of anyone on the slate. You could play Hurts, Barkley, Brown, Devonta Smith, and Goddard, and then just find the cheap touchdowns from everyone else, right? You could play a De'Ami Brown in that if you want to stack the sides of the game. I'm just saying that from an ownership perspective on a 4-game slate, I think the Eagles are going to be the least stacked. Saquon Barkley will be the highest owned player, but I think the Eagles will be the lowest combined. If you're going to stack, if we put the stuff together, if I put in the Eagles into my lineup and play Barkley, Hurts, Brown, Goddard, Smith, and then an average remaining player salary of $44.50 for a running back, wide receiver, flex, and DST. Like, just those 3 spots, find the cheap touchdowns there. And if the Eagles put up, if the Eagles score 4 touchdowns, that in and of itself may be good, because if they score, it's going to go to these guys. It's probably not going to Johnny Wilson. EJ Jenkins probably ain't catching a touchdown. So, like, I think the fact that they're going to be the lowest owned stack, and their offense is the most condensed, and salary doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, I think
they're your A.
Made for the Eagles. The Eagles. Am I making a compelling case, Bobby?
You're making a compelling case because people aren't going to want to play Hurts with Saquon, which is a mistake. They should be willing to play Hurts with Saquon. The one, AJ Brown's ownership's kind of up there. He's around 47%.
But the only reason for that is because it's hard to spend your salary. I mean, like it is a raw points type of slate. So, but I mean, AJ Brown's going to be less owned than Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have the run backs on the other side if you wanted to force it with De'Ami and McLaurin. De'Ami's going to be a very, very chalky this week relative to what he was last week when most people played Zacchaeus. Yeah, I don't mind the Eagles stack. They weren't my favorite, but I think you make a compelling case for sure.
Well, I'm just thinking about touch. Like, to me, I don't care about yardage on this slate. Like, I don't care, other than Barkley, because Barkley has a prop that's absurd, right? But everything else is like, well, this guy is a passing prop of this, and this guy is a dude, let me find the touchdowns, right? So, like, the Eagles go out and score 4 touchdowns. If they go out and score 5, it's going to be, they have the highest implied team total, right? Maybe they go out and score 5 touchdowns. Barkley doesn't even need Barkley doesn't even need a touchdown to make, the best lineup, because the running back position sucks. So let's say they even score 4 touchdowns and Jalen Hurts has 2 tush pushes, and the receivers each have AJ Brown has a touchdown. Devonta Smith has a touchdown. Goddard has 12 points. I mean, like the point that I'm keep on making is that this is not like a 12-game regular season slate where it's like, well, what's the upside of playing Khalil Shakir, right? Oh, he doesn't get red zone targets. It's like, dude, if Khalil Shakir scores 14 fantasy points, he could be like the third or fourth highest scoring wide receiver on the slate because there's only 4 teams. Like there's only so much like I'm going to play Keon Coleman instead of Khalil Shakir and leave 2,000 on the table. I mean, you can do that, but I mean, Keon Coleman needs to catch one long touchdown to beat a normal Shakir game of like 6 for 60, right? Keon Coleman sitting there with 1 for 30 with a touchdown, right? And he still doesn't beat Shakir, right? So like you have to think in terms of raw points on this slate. And I'm just beating that over the head. And if you want to do it from a perspective of I don't care about correlation, and I'm just going to play the guys that, you know, I'm play 3 Eagles on one side and play Jaden Daniels as the quarterback, right? Play Josh Allen. Don't even play. I mean, like, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's like it doesn't have to make any sense. I just think a lot of people are going to try to play lineups that like have too many people in it that like need to score like outlier results. Like I don't want to play lineups where I'm playing like Mac Hollins and Olamide Zaccheaus, right? I want to find one of them scores a touchdown, but like the odds of both of them having it, like someone will play a Chiefs stack and also play Juju or Justin Watson, right? And stuff like that all together. And it's like, no, I'll get my raw points from like every spot other than like 2. And then I'll find those types of guys. Then play a defense against your own offense and just hope there's a pick 6 and then the offense just gets the ball back or something like those types of lineup constructions. So I don't know. Are you sold? Are you sold on the Eagles stack? Because I think all these players, Bobby, I think all these players will be owned. It's not like no one's going to be on like, you're not getting this for 1%. But I don't think people are playing these guys together. I think it's much more likely that, like, yeah, a lot of people play Barkley, but they play Barkley and AJ Brown, Barkley and Devonta Smith, Barkley and Dallas Goedert. And there's less Kurtz out there, and there's less like all of them out there.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Eagles. Did you want to put the Eagles in A?
Yeah, just for combinatorially, just ownership wise.
Yeah, I'm with that. I was leaning the Bills, but I wasn't gonna play guys like Hollins and Keon Coleman together. I was just gonna play the regular Bills.
But I think it still applies to the Bills. Why not play Josh Allen and James Cook together?
That's what I was. I was gonna play Allen and Cook.
Okay, so what is your preferred Bill stack?
I go Allen, Cook, and probably Shakir, but I add in one of the randos.
Right, you'd play all 3 and then rotate. Like if you were playing
20
that's what
lineup. I'd be rotating after Shakir, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also putting in Kincaid in that spot also is fine.
I hate
Kincaid and not. I mean, you got Kincaid and not.
Right. You're 100% right.
See the difference between the Bills and the Eagles though is that's harder. If I could find, where the hell are the Bills?
No, it definitely makes more sense the way you're talking about it because you can just make a group for like these low on plays, stack your Eagles, and go from there. You know, just because how condensed it is, and like you talked about, the combinatorial ownership won't be high on the Eagles. I'm fine with that call. We can put the Eagles in.
To me, the Bills, to make all those combinations on the Bills, you need like 50 lineups by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Because imagine you're like, okay, I'm gonna play Allen, I'm gonna play Cook, I'm gonna play Shakir, and then you go, I'm gonna take a shot on Keon Coleman, and then Curtis Samuel has a touchdown. It's like, oh, my lineup was perfect, except I didn't pick the one right guy, right? Like, and it's like, well, how many of those lineups are there? Look how many people the Bills have. You need a Mac Collins lineup. Hell, you need an Amari Cooper lineup probably also.
And it is the same thing. It is the same thing with like the Chiefs if you want to play their lone guys too. I think
the
the
thing
Chiefs.
is that the Chiefs are going to be much more owned.
Yeah.
So how would you play the Chiefs?
I might take a shot on guys like Noah Gray instead of Kelsey, because Kelsey's going to be extremely owned, and we've seen Noah Gray work within the Chiefs offense pretty much all season. I know it's playoff Kelsey, and that's the narrative, but I would still take a shot on a guy like Noah Gray. I don't think I'd play Worthy and Brown together. I just think that's a bad way to play it. Probably max one of those guys if I'm stacking Mahomes. Yeah, I'd probably introduce more DeAndre Hopkins into my lineups just because he's why can't it be DeAndre Hopkins eventually? I know people have been trying to make it work to kind of cut the ownership in half of Worthy and Brown. It just hasn't matriculated.
The real contrarian way to play the Chiefs is just play both their running backs.
Oh yeah, you play both their running backs. Yeah, I don't hate that either.
But yeah, I think most people are going to play Mahomes, Kelsey, Worthy. And if they triple stack, it'll be Mahomes, Kelsey, Worthy, Brown. I mean, that's kind of like I think that combination is going to be overowned. And if we learned last week, the combinations that are going to be overowned obviously get there. So you could go do that if you want.
I'm not.
I didn't have the Commanders last week, so it's not like
I still think Washington's going to be overowned too, though. If we as the fourth stack, I know.
I don't think they're going to be over. I don't think it's going to be overowned. I mean, they're going to be. All these teams are owned. Like, there's no such thing as over. I mean, like there's a point to it, right? Yeah. I think in comparison this week, the Chiefs are going to be overowned, and the Commanders will be about what they should be owned.
Yeah.
So it's like to me, I put the Chiefs, which means that like we had to rank. I mean, there's no F tier team, but I would rank the Eagles 1, Bills 2, then the Commanders C, and the Chiefs D. But this is ownership adjusted. Remember, I think if you're playing like double ups and stuff, you probably have Chiefs in your lineups. But I think that's the problem is that the Chiefs, like guys like Kelsey, Worthy, are all going to be like they're going to be so owned as one-offs, if not stacked with Mahomes. People are going to want to play Barkley and James Cook because the running back projections are just so bad outside of Barkley that it just leads to all these 4K receivers. Like as one, like Hollywood Brown one-off type of lineups with De'Ami Brown. Like Hollywood Brown plus De'Ami Brown will be way too owned together, right? Because of these Barkley Cook expensive quarterback lineups. And then you got Kelsey at tight end as well. So like I'm just looking at I really don't want to play. I don't want to play six players in my lineup where you look at the combined ownership and you're playing in a field of 10,000 and like 100 people have that exact 6-man combination and you're just a 2v2. I want to be you look at the lineup and be like, "Oh, this is all these guys get there and this guy scores a touchdown and I win." And I'm done. Right? So like to me, like outside of Barkley, I think you could let's talk about the running backs. Outside of Barkley, I think you could literally play anyone at running back. And I'm even talking about guys like Ray Davis and Kenny Gainwell. Like playing a Barkley Gainwell lineup, I think is fine because I think if you could just find a touchdown from one of these running backs that like barely touched the ball or whatever, a third down back, Samaje Perine, you're good. That's all. Like the raw points at running back is going to be just like stupidly low outside of Barkley. That if you wanted to play Brian Robinson Jr., like this is the time to play him, right? You want to play, but any of these guys. Maybe not Will Shipley, Jeremy McNichols. Who knows? Take a shot on. I don't think I'm going to play any. I don't
last week.
But you get what I'm saying. I don't think I'm playing 3 running back lineups. I don't think anyone is playing.
There's no reason to. We don't have. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
You know how many pass interference calls there are in the end zone that have 1 yard touchdowns from some of these guys? I mean, like we may be looking at the slate afterwards going, wow, none of the wide receivers got there and running backs had 9 touchdowns.
It's probably a wide receiver or a tight end in the flex, unless you're looking for like James Cook late. And you played one of the running backs in the Eagles game that's cheap. Yeah, I think that just definitely going to make a group with like these under 10% owned guys. Make sure I'm getting at least one in my lineup or under 20%.
So who would be your favorite one out of the cheap guys?
You're killing me, Blender. I got to pull it. Let me see.
But obviously, I'm talking about cheap guys that are not owned. That are like, if you want to take a shot. If you wanted to, I mean, we're talking about really low on. We're talking about single digit own. We have our projected ownership in lineup HQ. If you were going to take a shot on a single digit owned guy, because like even DeAndre Hopkins is going to be double digit owned, so that doesn't even count. Who would you take a shot on?
Probably Knox or Gray.
Okay.
Going back to Knox or Gray. I know you were looking for something different. I just don't.
Right.
Yeah, you're looking for someone with more ceiling.
No, I'm looking for someone with more leverage. And my
I think there's leverage on both of them just because Kincaid's going to be a ton owned, and so is Kelsey.
No, okay, not true. I was thinking of direct leverage off. De'Ami Brown is going to be mega owned as like a 4K wide receiver.
Yes, you want to play Zacchaeus.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine.
And it's not like Zacchaeus hasn't shown upside with Jaden Daniels, because essentially he was getting the same work that De'Ami Brown was getting just a month ago. Right?
Yeah.
And he is playing 3 wide receiver sets, and it's probably more likely that the Commanders are going to be down in this game.
I think D-Hop's a good one, but what do we have him around? He's not under
16% owned. I mean, also he's going to be – he's old. He's old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone says Olamide is hurt. He's playing. He's hurt. It's the playoffs. All these football. You know how many football players have injuries heading into this game that aren't even listed or whatever? Of course.
That was the flip for me last week. Was everyone was playing Zacchaeus, it felt like, and I was like, I'll ride Diami. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could flip Zacchaeus and Diami.
I'm just looking to see, like, like everyone's playing this guy. Who's the one that benefits if that guy sucks? I mean, like, that's
I think Ray Davis is a very interesting one, right? Like,
I mean, I guess I think I'd rather have a wide receiver at that price than. But I mean, hey, if he scores a 3-yard touchdown or something on 6 carries, I mean, that's all you need.
Yeah. What about Jamison Crowder?
Hey, I wouldn't call you crazy. I mean, I'm not doing it. That would be like
in there. I'm not doing it. I got it. He got in there last week though for a little bit.
Right, but I mean, anyone that sees a snap that can score a touchdown is viable. Treat him more like a showdown slate, right?
Yeah. What about Amari, the corpse of Amari? When's he going to do anything?
Put Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins together and pretend it's 2018.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of options here, Blender. Like I don't really know. What are you looking at? Who's the guy you're looking at?
I said Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus? Okay.
Yeah, did not play De'Ami Brown and just play Zacchaeus.
I'm fine with that.
Or play one of these, or play the second running back slot. Use a guy like I think the Chiefs running backs, because it's leverage off the Chiefs stack.
Yeah,
people are playing Mahomes triples and stuff like that. Like, I'll just play Hunt or Pacheco.
And there's uncertainty.
Look at the last game, Hunt scored twice. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, that would be easily golden on a slate like this.
Yeah.
Okay, Bobby. We were able for four teams on a tier list, right? We're still able to fill a half an hour. So would I consider this to necessarily be A, B, C, and D? Not really. This is, to me, I view it more like these two are in the like this. But then people will look and be like, So like basically you have no takes or anything like that. So it's like we had to order it. It would be like Eagles A, Bills B, Washington C, Kansas City D, ownership adjusted, salary adjusted, and no one's in the F tier because it's 4 teams. So you can't avoid anyone.
I like it, Blender. I like it.
Okay, so hopefully you'll be back for the Super Bowl. We'll do a Super Bowl showdown show in 2 weeks. I'm gone all next week. Okay, I will not be here. You will not see a thumbnail for this show. Okay, that doesn't mean that I'm fired, that I died, that
Should we dox you and tell them where you're going? You're in for a nice vacation.
I don't have no problem. I'm going on a cruise for a week, so I'm gonna be gone. But every time, Bobby, every time I'm gone for like a couple of days, I'll get a DM or two of like, oh, did they fire you? Are you dead? Are you okay? Are you like this is why I give programming notes like every show, like before I go. I say this, Bobby.
They need to know your whereabouts, Blender. They need to know your whereabouts.
You don't see a thumbnail, that means I'm off that, or maybe I'm sick that day. Maybe I'm in the hospital. Maybe I am dead. No one cares, so it doesn't matter, right? But but I'll be back after that week, probably doing mostly NBA until we got the Super Bowl week. We'll do more NFL. We can do props. Yeah, we could Grant will be for pro. Yeah, we could do NFL when I come back, and then it's going to be NBA for most of the time until MLB season starts. But hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me those tummy thumbs. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to always know when I go live, which is usually on weekdays, other than next week. Weekdays at 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props, and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.